Hello everyone. It's Lee Henkin here. So this video is going to be all about minimum benchmarks for new cold email campaigns. Okay, so thought a video like this might be pretty useful to a lot of people just to kind of know what benchmarks or numbers to look at specifically with new cold email campaigns. And this is really what I rely on when I'm running new campaigns, whether it's for my business or for clients. So we'll just run through a few of these, explain those, and it'll help take a bit of the guesswork out for you and confusion of what you should be kind of aiming for those new campaigns. So let's start with the first one here. We've got the number of leads per campaign. So in my opinion, the ideal number to aim for is around 2 to 3,000 leads contacts per campaign. Now, obviously, this is going to vary based on your target market size and all that stuff, which I totally understand. But in my opinion, 2 to 3,000 is a good number for a campaign because it's enough. It's a high enough number, enough quantity of contacts to at least give you some like proper data and market feedback from your campaigns, especially if you're doing like A/B testing, which you should be, like you're testing different messaging variants, maybe different strategies and different hooks, angles in one message versus another. This is a pretty good number that allow you to get that data basically without it kind of being skewed, I suppose you could say, or not enough. Or so 2 to 3,000 is a pretty good number to aim for, right? This is really ideal. So, and just the point of this too, like because you want to be doing this to like test A/B messaging variants and strategies and stuff like that. Um, just something to keep in mind is like the more messaging variants you have, like the more data or contacts you're going to need to basically make sure you have a reliable sample size. So, like as an example, let's say you got 3 or 4 AB variants, so an ABC variant, 2 to 3,000 contacts is a decent number, okay? Because then it's going to split between those 3 variants, and it gives you a reliable data size. So this is why this kind of 2 to 3,000 number is really good for contact size, especially with new campaigns, because you want to be like, I always say you want to test hard and fast, especially if it's like a new, I don't know, let's say you're a lead gen agency and you're working with a new client, or you're just like a business doing this yourself and you want to test something, maybe a new offer or something like that. You really want to be getting your data and market feedback as fast as possible. So 2 to 3,000 contacts is a pretty good way to do that. 3 to 4 messaging variants, just as a general rule of thumb. Okay, so the main reason the 2 to 3,000 contacts is decent is because of the gives you a more reliable sample size. Whereas if you like got 500 contacts, it's not going to be a reliable sample size basically. So 2 to 3,000 is a good range. Ideally, though, the more the better. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to totally depend on target market size. So just as a general rule of thumb, 2 to 3,000 contacts is what I stick to per campaign. And I generally run like 1 or 2 campaigns per month, for example, if I was doing this as a service for clients. That's how I structure that. So that's how that works. So that's the first benchmark there you should aim for with a new campaign, 2 to 3,000 contacts. Second benchmark to look at is a 3 to 4 step sequence. Okay, so the reason 3 to 4 steps is because this is like a generally just a good balance between being able to get lead responses and actually not pissing off your prospects and then them marking you as spam and then messing up your deliverability and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's generally what that means. Okay, because the general rule is like you could have an 8 step sequence, but like I guarantee you, you're gonna like piss a lot more people off sending an 8 step sequence compared to a 3 step sequence. And then if you do that, you're just going to burn your domains, email accounts. And like, people always say, oh yeah, you can always create new domains, new email accounts, which yes, you can do. but still, in my opinion, it's a hassle I'd rather not do. It's just easier to maintain the deliverability you set up rather than just burning through deliverability. Okay. That doesn't mean that you won't at some point burn through deliverability. It's entirely possible with a 3 or 4 step sequence. And, there's a whole bunch of other factors that impact this. But generally, the longer the sequence, the more likely it is you're going to annoy people. Okay. So 3 to 4 steps is a really good balance. Okay. In general, most campaigns I'm running, I'm keeping it to 3. Okay. Whereas like 2 years ago, I was always doing a 4 or 5 step sequence. Whereas now, like just thinking off the top of my head, I'd say probably 90%, maybe 80% companies now that I work with, um, I'm focusing on a 3 step sequence. And then there's a couple with a 4 step sequence just because their target market sizes are small. So we want to try and elongate the process slightly. But generally, 3 is the way I'm going. And yeah, it just maintains that balance basically. 4 is the absolute maximum. The only exception to this would be if you're applying a very personalized approach. So by that I mean you have like a 7 step sequence, and every step from step 4, 5, 6, 7 is like personalized to that company or prospect, which is really difficult to do. It's a completely different approach than what I generally do. So that's more like an account based approach. So as a general rule of thumb, 3 to 4. Most cases, I'm sticking to 3 steps. And a final little metric here I want to look at is the number of domains and inboxes to set up. So this is a question I hear a lot: is like, how many domains, inboxes should I set up? Now, my answer to this generally is it's going to depend on your target market size. Like if you've got 50,000 contacts you can reach out to, 100,000, you can leverage volume like much more than if you had like 15,000 contacts in your target market. So if you had 50,000 contacts, you could set up like 20 mailboxes or 30, whatever, and just smash volume, reach out to 10, 15,000 contacts a month. You'd finish that in like 4 months or something, 4 or 5 months, and then you could recycle those contacts again using a different strategy and so forth. Granted, if you've got a smaller target market size, it's not going to be applicable. So you're going to need to take a bit of a different approach. So, but by default, I'd say for most businesses, my focus is like 5 domains at a minimum, and 2 to 3 inboxes per domain. So, if you're doing two inboxes per domain, 5 domains, that's 10 inboxes, 3 inboxes per domain, that's 15. Generally, I find that's a good number. Most of the companies I work with now, it's like they might have, I don't know, 20,000 contacts or something like that they can reach out to, 30. It just depends, honestly. But that's a general rule of thumb I follow. So I want to have like 10 to 15 inboxes set up. And another smart thing you want to do is just have some backup domains registered as well. So, let's say you set up 5 domains, 3 inboxes per domain, that's 15. You want to have like another 2, 3 domains set up, okay? Because the thing is with deliverability is like servers will look at the age of a domain. So if it's like a 2 week old, if it's less than 2 weeks old, the domain, it's more likely to get flagged as spam compared to a domain that's like 3 months old, for example. So this is why it's a good idea to have kind of backups ready to go. And then, if you need to, you can always then just create your extra inboxes and warm those up. So hopefully that answers the question. By default, my approach for a brand new client is 5 domains, 2 to 3 inboxes per domain. But again, it's going to depend on target market size. If you've got an absolute ton of contacts, like 100,000 contacts in your target market, feel free to get more domains, double that if you want, double the number of inboxes. So they're really the 3 main minimum benchmarks I'm looking at for a brand new campaign. I reckon some of you are probably wondering why I didn't put reply rates, booking rates, all that kind of stuff. The reason I haven't talked about that is because it totally varies. I just don't believe in the idea that, you should be getting, I don't know, 2, 4, 5% reply rate. You should be getting this number of book calls per this number of contacts. All of those things vary based on your offering, the target market you're in, Like it's not realistic that there's a one size fits all reply rate or meeting conversion rate from positive response. Just in my opinion, that's a load of bollocks. Doesn't exist. So that's why I haven't mentioned those, because I know some of you are probably wondering why I didn't put that in. Okay, it's going to totally vary on every business, every offering, every target market wildly. Whereas what I've mentioned here, these are a bit more solid numbers to focus on for a brand new campaign that you have, that'll really put you in a solid position to actually see results. So that's pretty much it. They're the minimum benchmarks I'll be looking at for brand new cold email campaigns. Hope you got some value out of this video. If you liked it, usual, like the video, share it. If you got any questions, drop a comment, let me know. I try to be as responsive as I can for comments and feedback. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I appreciate your time watching this video. Hope you get some value out of it. Please stay tuned for the next one, and see you again soon.